Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Katunkwit Chronicles, which has been broadcast and developed here in the island of Katunkwit in our studio. We acknowledge the custodians of the land where we are broadcasting from today, including the Narragansett Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'm your host, James Allen, and I'm joined here most weeks, and this week by the extraordinary adventurer, extreme sport enthusiast, and all-around great gal, Ashlyn Komorick. Hello, and welcome to Katunkwit Chronicles here with Ashlyn Komorick today, and I'm really pleased to have her with me today to talk about an event that we recently visited. We went to the Rhythm and Roots Festival. Did you bring Ricky, or was that Stuart?
I did bring Ricky with me.
Of course, I've always known him as Stuart. It is the same person we've discovered. So, this is your husband, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so at what point did he become Ricky? Is it only on weekends or special events, or is this...
Well, he started out as Ricky, and then he kind of morphed into Stuart, but occasionally we see Ricky now and then.
I thought he started out as Stuart and he went to Ricky.
No, it's the other way around.
It's all good.
He lured me in by being Ricky.
And by the way, Rhythm and Roots is a music festival, to be more specific.
Yes.
And I noticed they commemorated a guy I knew quite well, Chuck Wentworth.
Oh, you did know Chuck?
I did. I knew him well. I worked in that town for a short while, 5 years, and had the privilege of working with him on many occasions as he was I would consider him the owner and operator of Rhythm and Roots.
Yeah, he was the founder. I mean, he started over at Escahog when it was just, I think, called the Cajun Zydeco Festival.
Yeah, great man, very great, wonderful understanding of music, and he had a very good demeanor, and he worked well with me.
Which is a feat in itself.
Sure, but I was inclined to say yes because I kind of liked the idea of having those big festivals there at that park. Mm-hmm. There was the Seafood Festival. There was the While I was there, the Rhythm and Roots Festival was the last festival. We had something that we created called the Harvest Festival.
There was also a reggae festival there in the past that I've also attended.
Yeah, they ended that. Yeah,
that was a good festival too, though.
Oh, good.
Saw the late great Toots and the Maytals. Well, Toots is late great, but the Maytals are still around.
I wouldn't have known that. God rest your soul. Toots, right? Toots, God rest his soul. Was that his given name?
No, his last name's Hibbert. I can't remember his first name, but it's not Toots. That's his.
Hibbert. That's a very, very popular name in Jamaica.
Is it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, in fact...
There was a Hibbert in the Olympics, and I was like, I wonder if he's related to Toots or Hibbert is just a popular name.
When I was doing that coaching stint for a long time at the university, local university, I recruited a young man named Hibbert. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played 4 years for us. He was a very, very good athlete. Yes, I think he still lives in the area. I hope he hears the podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah. So I found it to be well run. Boy, great acts, wonderful music. The setting was perfect.
Yeah, it's a nice festival. It's casual enough. It's not so crazy like the Newport Folk Festival has gotten pretty crazy.
I think the average age there was about 72. It was pretty mellow. And the air was
not that old.
The air was quite blue with the blue smoke. So there was a lot of that going on. And it was a pleasant atmosphere. The food was great.
Yeah.
I had the jambalaya with the scallops. That was great.
I hit the dumpling truck twice.
I had it with you too. At one occasion, we went over to the dumpling truck, all four of us. Eva was enjoying
that was when we went for snacks.
Yeah, snacks in between. I tried to dance though. I just can't two-step. I'm not a two-step guy. I'm like in 4 and 5 steps. I got to step a lot. 2 steps is just not enough for me. And Eva, I mean, she's a great individual dancer. In fact, I told you that's how I fell in love with her, right? But there was this force field in between us as we were trying to hold each other and dance at the same time. Or it was contrary. Like, yeah, it was definitely...
That's because you were both trying to lead.
Yeah, that's right. She's a leader. That's what she does for a profession.
We struggle as well until, I finally give in and say, oh, that's right. I'm not supposed to be leading.
It must be difficult for you to do that. I'm sure it
Give
is.
up control.
I thought we would... is there anything else we want to remember from that weekend? You spent the additional 3 days. I mean, I was only there one night.
Yeah, we camped. It was fun.
Camping again. Camping not among trees, among millions of people. So did you have some strange noises in the night?
There was a lot of jamming in the night. I don't know.
You want to rephrase that? Jamming? There was a lot of jamming going on?
Musical groups that formed spontaneously at different campsites and played. I think
jamming can be very loud at times, yes.
Yeah, I think on the do's and don'ts for the campground, it says no drumming after 1 a.m. Well, you can do anything else after 1 a.m.
It's pretty loose.
But we were so tired that I just, Ricky was out jamming somewhere and I was so tired. I didn't matter what was going on. I just fell asleep.
And what time did you have to arrive so that you could get a campsite near a tree or?
We arrived at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
So we lost some sleep on the front end as well.
So by the time you got to me, you guys are ghosts, just walking around, stumbling around, trying to enjoy it. Well, good. I'm glad that you were there the entire time. We had a great time. We went to Block Island the following day.
Oh, that's right. How was that?
Great. We did some bike riding.
It's
went to the labyrinth.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't find an orb. I was very disappointed.
Oh, that's right. You went to look for an orb. Was it crowded still or was it?
Yeah. It
already
Labor Day weekend.
Well, I know, but right after Labor Day weekend, it's pretty quiet out on Block Island.
Well, we left around...
so I didn't know if people were already starting to...
I think we left on the 7:30 ferry and it was full.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some of the people were beginning to head back. But then there was Sunday, I'm sure. That was blasted. We saw 2 pods of 30 seals.
While you were on the ferry?
No, we went out to the north. I think it's called North Light.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to see 6. We thought there were 6. And then up popped 30. And then there was a second pod of 30.
Do seals come in pods? Like dolphins come in pods. Crows are murders.
Oh, yeah, there's a murder of crows.
So I don't really know what the seal thing. We're not allowed to research, but I will research.
You research.
Before
get
next
back
week.
to us in a timely manner, sometime within a month. I'm not sure. I think a pod would be fine. Of that's what people were referring to them as the laymen that were there. But some of us have to go further into the research to determine that. However, using the wrong word, it's okay in certain circumstances. Maybe not in podcasting, though. I'm sure we'll catch a lot of grief on our podcast email address, which is katunkwitchronicles@gmail.com. Send us all your queries and concerns, or just tell us you love us.
Okay, I broke the rule and I did some researching, and it's kind of funny. So you can call it a pod or a bob, and other commonly used collective nouns to refer to groups of seals are harem, herd, or rookery.
Oh.
It could have been a harem of seals.
It could have.
Were they all females?
It was very difficult to tell. I couldn't see any of the genitalia from my perspective. They were maybe, none were wearing hats, and they were getting a lot of sun. But they were out in the water, so they were fishing for sure, because every once in a while you'd think there was a shark attack or something, because seals would turn and spin and go down, but I think they were just fishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I just watched the movie Jaws again. It wasn't where Jaws was made. That was a different island, but that's Martha's Vineyard out there. And there was, again, it was just a lovely movie. It was such a pleasant movie.
Lovely.
It was very pleasant. Roy Scheider was great in the movie. I mean, he was just the panicked New York cop that got a deal to go out into this island. He didn't know he was going to
totally over his head in that.
Yeah. So I was going to wonder, in order to advance this knowledge of Katunkwit to our audience, I thought we could ask each other questions about things we may have discussed in the past, but about the people or the places. And just the idea of this place called Rat Tail's Hollow, which we talk about quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a prominent place in Katunkwit. But I was always curious where that name came from.
Well, if you look at the entire island of Katunkwit,
Yes.
it does sort of look like a rat, probably more of a roadkill rat.
Yes.
So if you flattened a rat with your truck.
Okay, so call it Roadkill Rat Tail's Hollow. I love it.
Well, the rat tail hollow is on the tail part of the road-killed rat.
Yeah.
So that's why it's rat tail.
So probably
And the hollow part is because there's a bite or a little cove there that we call a hollow.
Oh, yeah, all right. A holla. But it seems, as you think of it, this is a very unfortunate rat. I mean, rats generally get a lot of bad rap.
Yeah. Poor things.
I've never really liked them very much. And maybe it's just the...
I mean, they're fine. Back in when we had ducks, and whenever you have those birds and you're feeding them and all the stuff, you end up with rats. Yeah, they were cute. They'd run out of the woods and run over to the duck pen and try to grab some food.
Do you think that they were in the house too? I don't like that.
No, they weren't in the house.
Gotta keep them out of the house. There was one in our house. We had to deal with it.
A rat, not a mouse?
Oh, yeah, I know the difference. Boy, the rats made a lot of noise. There was more than one. I got them. Don't worry. Took care of that. Oh, boy, that was bad. I was really mad. It's all out. When it's any kind of, what do they call it, pests?
Mm-hmm.
Especially a rodent. It's in the house.
We had squirrels.
It's all out war. I mean, I'm going for it. Squirrels, bad to get squirrels in the house.
Yeah, we had squirrels in the attic. I only noticed because I drove home and, the soffit vent.
Yeah.
I noticed there was a big chunk missing out of it.
Yeah, that's what happened. I went on my roof.
They chewed right through. So it's right above my son Logan's bedroom.
Oh.
And I'm like, something has obviously gotten into the attic, and we're all talking about it. And he says, "Oh yeah, I've been hearing some noises up there." It never occurred to you to mention that something's running around above your head?
There was just some ghosts up there. I think maybe, something going on up there. But, I just said, I just closed my eyes and everything's fine. Not a good kid. He didn't have any problem with bears or anything when he was growing up. Nothing. No.
I sent him up there with his BB gun.
Oh, did he?
He did not manage to connect with the squirrel, but he did scare them out of there. And then we replaced the vent and put, what do you call that, mechanic's cloth or that metal mesh stuff on the backside to keep them from returning.
stainless steel wool works. You want to poke in a lot of that in there too. Well, they don't like that. It hurts their teeth. So Rat Tails Hollow, there you have it.
Yeah.
But there must be more to it. I'm sure it goes back to the indigenous people, and maybe they had something.
Well, I think that entire part of the island just looks like a rat's tail.
Okay.
Right. I
From
mean,
the sky.
I think it's pretty simple. Who knows? I don't even know that the indigenous people had that name for it in
Certainly not the hollow.
their
line.
native language. Well, no, I mean, maybe they had a word for hollow, but they may not have seen a rat. They might have seen something else.
I think the English brought the rats over, didn't they? On the ships? I don't think there were any rats here.
Oh, you think rats aren't native to North America?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's another research question.
It's another negative thing that we did to native population.
Not to mention all the diseases and.
But like Eva says, I'm gonna have to Google that. James, you're on another one. I do kind of think of things, I sort of remember them, but I don't remember them entirely. So I have fact checkers out there. Fortunately, this program is not. There's no great requirement. Nobody's gonna get too upset with that kind of thing.
So talking about the island, when and why did you first come here?
Oh, my first foray, I think I've told you, I saw it from a distance. I was on a boat, every day.
But what made you set your feet down on the soil of Cotuncwit?
Well, I was provided an opportunity to coach soccer at the local high school. Not Cotuncwit, we don't have a high school. But the local next door neighbor there, North Kingstown. And I had quite a bit of success coaching. I was still fishing for a living. So it made sense to come this way. And I had always wanted to live on the island. I just thought of myself as an island person. And I was curious about it. Not curious enough to do too much research, however, but curious enough to get an apartment. I did, and met some wonderful people. My landlord, she was a wonderful person, and her family, they sort of embraced me, and her extended family, and they had another home. So, I felt at home right away here. And then when I met Eva...
It was all...
Well, we decided that we wanted to, bring up children in the community and, that whole...
So you in the beginning, you commuted over that rickety old bridge.
Oh, I did, yes. It was brilliant. There was occasions where, you get stopped in the traffic, and if you were stopped at the top in traffic, it's just
on the grate.
It was just a grate.
Yeah, you could open your door and look right through.
I did, and there were grooves in the grate too. That from where over the 50, 60 years or whatever, and it was all welded, like spot welded everywhere.
The repairs.
Oh, the repairs were heinous, hideous, and you were. The whole frightening. It was very frightening, all of it. But I came across that bridge in Hurricane.
Really?
I told you that story.
No.
Oh, yeah. I was the last person permitted to go across the bridge. I had been called. I was working in town for the government. I had been called in that morning. I was like, I'm not coming in to work. There's a hurricane today. Oh, yeah, you're on the emergency preparedness team. So I came in, and Eva wasn't my wife at the time, but she came in too to work, and she was manning, personing, I should say, the call center and taking care of making sure people had food and stuff like that. But I was out there removing the bathrooms from the beach and taking the lifeguard chairs in. That was my role. So at 11 o'clock, the wonderful chief of police, who had just passed away recently, we left him. The chief came by and he said, if you're going to go home, you're going to have to go now. Because I was living on the other side. I wasn't living on the island at this time. I was living over in the other town. And so I said, are you sure? And he said, you're going to be the last one. We'll follow you to a point, and then we'll turn around. And it was blowing like 70 at that time, 60, 70. And I was on the top of the bridge in a Ford Escort wagon. And I had the whole bridge to myself, thank God. I was going slow, but the Escort was going from lane to lane. And it was just blowing. Oh, my goodness, I couldn't believe it.
Did you think that the car was going to get blown off, or
Yeah.
did you think the whole bridge was just going to come down?
Oh, I had both thoughts. Yeah. Not so much the car was going to go off. I just really couldn't wait for that to be over. That was rough. And it was windy and raining and everything, of course, and it's, torrential. I thought the whole car was going to fall apart. It was an old junker. I bought it for like $100. I got home and I got to my neighborhood and it had been evacuated. So
you had to go again.
So no, I just found my way around the barricade, moved a few things, got into my house. It was too late. I couldn't do anything else. And it sounded like a train was running through my front yard. Anyway, that's the story about that.
So when they, just kind of a fun Katunkwit fact, when they built the new bridge, they decided to blow up the old bridge, and obviously everybody knew when it was going to happen. So many people, including myself, let their kids take the day off from school and walked all the way down the beach so we could watch it.
Yeah, which beach did you walk down? Because I was walking. Oh, you were walking from that side over here.
No. We walked down along the creek behind the pump house, and then walked north from there.
So we were closer to West Ferry Deli, and we walked up the way there, and we went to Skull Rock. You know what Skull Rock is? Mm-hmm. And that's where the skull is. It says 1934 on it. Oh, the former chief, his brother, did that when he was a kid. There's a camping there. Anyway, he made that stone Skull Rock. So we're sitting there, and my eldest daughter, who might have been, I don't know what year that was. Maybe she might have been 5. Maybe 1993 or something like that. Anyway.
Could be.
She fell off.
No, it had to be more than that.
She fell off the rock and smashed her head. I mean, she was conscious, but just like she had a concussion.
Bummer.
But we did get to see it.
You're like, sorry, you're just going to have to suffer now because we're watching this bridge get blown up.
That's what you would do. And I did too. So do you know anything about the Katunkwit Cafe owner that was there before, the old-time owner, the first owner?
Yeah, the first owner.
He invented beer, I think,
He invented beard too. He had a really, really long beard.
Did he? I don't remember his name anyway. So that guy, he had tremendous recycling thing going on. Early on, he was recycling the cans and creating, what are they called? Ingots of aluminum. He was crushing the cans and early on, making thousands of dollars, adding to his thousands that he was making.
From everybody drinking at his bar?
Yeah. He had an aluminum business. Who would have known? Isn't that funky?
Did he have a place on the island that he was collecting all this scrap?
Well, he had, he would collect it in bags and then bring it to his he had a shed. He was doing it in a shed.
It was like, smelting aluminum or something?
He didn't have to smelt it. No, he was crushing it into blocks.
Oh.
And then he would bring the blocks to Providence. Little known fact, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows that?
Very entrepreneurial.
That's way ahead of his time. This was in the 70s. This is a story I've heard from.
Yeah, I mean, do we know that he was doing it because he wanted to recycle or just because he saw an opportunity to make some money on the side?
Oh, I don't think he cared about recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah, who did? No, it was actually against the law to recycle. I don't think it was something that we even considered.
Well, did Rhode Island ever have a bottle bill?
Well, yeah, it does.
No, there's no deposit on.
Oh, no, you're right. Oh, that's so terrible. But we did have some sort of mandatory recycling, didn't we? Because I
Well,
remember my community,
we have to recycle, but
our community when I
back
grew
then,
up, we were doing it right away.
well, some places had, like for instance, I know in Vermont there was a bottle bill because we used to collect at our ski house all the
You'd make some gas.
beer cans, and at the end of the year, that in May, we'd close up the ski house, and the big thing was we'd fill up a pickup truck and take it down the street to the recycling place, and the guy he'd wait for us every year because we were kind of the spectacle in the middle of town. And then, we'd take bets on how much money we'd get back.
Help pay for the liver treatment. Sounds like I can't remember what the phrase is, but it's when, it's a I don't know, never mind. So that was the owner. And, we were always talking about this famous person that lives in town. And I guess I've not utilized this person's name. They're famous for their music, of course. And
that famous person.
Yeah. And I don't think we should. I think we should remain... He or she should remain anonymous. That's just out of respect for their craft and their profession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, people that visit's one thing, but you don't want to have lots of people driving by your house if you're famous. Yeah. So we're not going to talk about him or her. But it's cool that they live here. Just saw the dude the other day. Yeah. He's a dude.
I was going to say, I haven't seen them. I
just saw him or her, or them. Yeah.
Recently,
yeah. Oh, yeah, great. It's fun. It's fun because you have this history of music. Music is history, right? And it changes your perspective about a person. Of course, we have this image that's based on only the music and a few interviews that we may have seen and no firsthand information about the quality of the character or anything, but there's a lot of assumption that this is a good person. So when you're in that person's presence, the first response I have is to not idolize. What's the word? Idolize.
Idolize, yes.
That person. Not to look too much, and to not approach this person. So where am I? I'm not better off than I was before. But I just haven't imposed upon this person's privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better for that.
I have heard from my daughter that this person is a very nice person.
Oh, good. And I kind of figured that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask about a little bit about Ricky. I mean, we talk about Ricky. Well, maybe we talk too much about Ricky because it's just very confusing to me. I was watching the television series. Get this. It's entitled I Love Dick. Dick is a person, and this woman becomes... it's a fantasy. She has a sexual... You can say that in this podcast. Sexual fantasy. It was a sexual fantasy. And it's quite interesting. It's a very interesting series called I Love Dick. And I would suggest it be watched. I think it's on one of those pay channels. But why did I talk about that?
You started out talking about Ricky. I'm not sure.
No. So, yeah, that's the whole fantasy thing that I asked about. But did you have another question for me?
I was going to hope that since we're talking about the island, that you were going to reveal your favorite quahogging spot around the island. Or is that privileged information?
It's around the island, yeah.
That's as far as you're going to go?
It's within 50 feet of water. So you can work from there.
Mm-hmm. How about fishing? You're not going to give our listeners any tips?
Yeah, I would. Okay, so this is the time of year now. We're getting closer to when the water changes temperature, and it hasn't yet. But when it does, it'll it'll go maybe 2 or 3 degrees cooler than it is now with all these cool nights we're getting. You want to you have to have a boat for this one. Get yourself over to Dutch Island. On the west and north side, so that'd be northwest side, there's like a little spit of sand that runs out. And that spit of sand, you have to have eels. So there's a bunch of stripers that sit right on the backside of that on an incoming tide. So you go right up to the shore and you throw the eel actually on the shore. When I say throw it,
yes, it's still connected to the line. You're not just throwing.
Just don't throw $6 eels off the back of the boat. No. So you hook it, obviously, through the underside here. It's despicable, all of it. And then you drag it into the water, and then, wham, big bass. That's your tip of the day. You heard it from me.
What's the keeper size for striped bass?
I have to look. I can't remember. It's like there's a slot now. You can't catch them.
That's like the tautog. You can only catch one above a certain size.
Yeah.
It's okay, they made it to, whatever age that is to get that big. And so out of respect to them, you can only have one senior citizen for dinner.
It's so true. This slot, I don't know what it is. You can't catch them too big.
There's
small.
Definitely some science.
I always thought small made sense, but then, these breeders are the larger ones, I guess. So I don't really know. Hey, this dude, Jason Glazer, that lives up in the North End, have you know anything about him?
Mm-mm.
He used to have like a kind of you wouldn't call it a convenience store, but it was more like a junk shop that had some new things in there. But
you mean the antique shop?
They all had dust on them. That stuff. He was one of the first. He's a native person.
Yeah,
he goes way back.
It's a lot of people with that last name for a while. I think most of them have cashed in.
This is Glazer. Glazer, you know the name? Okay. I always thought that was like an English name, but the native people took on some of the local names, right? I imagine, based on something. But this dude lived right next to the Payne property, which was Captain Payne, right? Captain Payne was the dude that he was like a buccaneer, he wasn't a pirate, but he had all the qualities of a pirate.
He was a privateer.
A privateer, right? So that's
somebody who's been given
the license
orders from one country, yes, to be a pirate in the interests of that country.
Yeah, you and your research. That's true. That's absolutely correct. I think a buccaneer is also the correct term, but not used around here.
I don't think a buccaneer is the same as a privateer, but our listeners can write in and correct us.
How much does a corn cost? About a buccaneer. We're Captain Price. So he lived up there, and Glazer told a friend of mine that he found some special treasures on his land too. I mean, not just Native American pieces.
There's also a Captain Kidd thing going on up there, also in the same area.
Yeah, we've discussed this before, but this is real stuff, man. This is happening. So for you out there in podcast land, if you want to
dig up some private property and look for treasure.
See what happens.
We'll point you in the right direction.
Hey, who was the miller of Miller's Cove? Is there? Because I think that goes back to when they were milling corn, right? I put the hill there.
Although the corn milling was happening up at the windmill.
Well, I know. That's right where Miller's Cove is, or close to it.
Yeah, it's close.
Because there's Miller's. I have Miller's Cove, and you have Miller's Cove down further. No,
Miller's Cove is below the windmill, essentially.
Right. So do you think that was what happened? They call it milling. I guess
I think Miller owned all that land up where the windmill is and probably owned all the way down to the water.
Did you ever know any of the Millers?
No.
Yeah, I knew one Miller. Yeah. What was her name? Judith Miller? Nice woman. Yeah, nice woman. I went to school with Judith Miller. Yeah, she was eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
They were out of the milling business at that point.
At that point, they made their fortune in milling and moved on.
Judith. Hey, we're going to do some music. As we have a tendency to do, we're going to do a few commercials here and bring some products your way or some special events or whatever. Our first commercial is I want you to consider visiting the petting aquarium at Rat Tail Hollow Point, up there at the point, where your child can touch a ray, learn how to band a lobster, call Mama Chogs from the depths, or dig a quahog from the bottom of the aquarium tanks. The proprietor, I don't know what his role is, I think he works with the government or something. His name is Stony Heptum. Stony Heptum. I don't know that his real name is Stony, but...
That's what they call him?
That's what they call him. He's very lonely up there on the point. Maybe he's got a few plants growing in the...
It's a fun little aquarium.
It will guide your tour from start to finish. 1 week remains in the season, so get your asses off over to Rat Tail Hollow Point Aquarium. Yes, it is fun.
Should we be touching rays? Didn't a ray kill the crocodile hunter?
Those are manta rays. This is just a regular ray.
Oh, okay. We're all right with that.
Yeah, they do have some rays up there that you can touch. I don't know. Don't ask the detailed questions. You know better than that. Oh, this is a fun one. I want you to know about this group, the oldest group in town, Old People Walking Club. The OPWC, Old People Walking Club, would like you to be aware that the OPWC will be walking slowly down Katunkwit, Maine on Sunday, October 6th to remember fallen fellow walkers. Isn't this nice? The OPWC is the oldest organization in good standing in Katunkwit. Now, my question is, there must be older groups that are not in good standing.
Yeah, well,
for that, we have to ponder.
And also, if you get to the point where you need a wheelchair, you can't really be in that group, not because you're unable to walk, but because most of the sidewalks in Katunkwit are not ADA compliant.
But you know something?
Hmm?
The taxes are low. So, that said, we do have concerns about, here at the Katunkwit Chronicles, we are very concerned about compliance of all types. So, I retract that joke. We do need to get on that and spend some money.
Because one day you and I will be in our wheelchairs and want to get down to the beach or something.
I'm getting closer to my... Okay, so that was... I'm finished here. Katunkwit, for those that are in good still standing. Wait a minute. OPWC is the oldest organization in good standing in Katunkwit for those that are still standing. Plan your travel day to avoid Katunkwit, Maine this Saturday, as the parade of walkers will start on West Ferry Deli at the harbor at 12 noon and are expected to make it to Veterans Memorial Square at approximately 4 p.m. 600.
So that is a quarter mile an hour?
Yeah. 600 club members. A lot of club members, right? Or more are expected to make the slow walk over the 0.5-mile journey. Senior members of the club will be speaking about members of the club that have died at intervals throughout the course of the parade. Walk with the groups or watch live on Channel 13 on the public TV station, hosted by none other than Ashland Kamoric. I'm sitting with her. She's a star. She's a superstar. I'm sitting with a superstar. She's amazing.
I am a little confused if they'll be talking about members that have died along the way or died in the past.
Well, they don't walk the same route each week. However, they're going to stop at intervals, whatever that means, and maybe stop signs. Talk about people that have died, and I think it's nice. And you're going to commentate on it. And public TV is a visual medium, so the audience, if you're tuning in, what time is it? 12 noon to 4 Saturday. I think it's the 6th of October. Ashland Kamoric. You'll get a picture of the face.
The face that goes with the voice.
There you are. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme Spice Shop is opening its doors on Sunday, October 6th. Same date. So stop in during the parade, the one we just referred to. Spice up your life. Getunkwit Chronicles welcomes PSRAT. Piss Rat. That's an unfortunate.
They didn't think that through.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. To town. We hope that you have a good experience. We hope your business makes it after the Thanksgiving rush on no other than thyme, right? Isn't that the spice we use at that time of year? Oh, boy. Who writes this shit? Located on Getunkwit, Maine. That's where we're located, the Parsley Sage, next to the fire station, where the 6 o'clock horn can frighten even the well-aware firefighters. Have you recently felt that experience? We've talked about this before. It happened again.
It did?
I think the town is going to be liable for a heart attack.
You're an anti-horn person.
I am not horny.
I see. I was upset when, enough people complained and they took away the noon horn. Oh,
I can go without that blasting. I think it's dangerous. It really is. People could drive off the road. It's awful.
I don't know. I grew up with a horn on a different island, and I'm nostalgic for it.
What is it? Is it just you have to really? Are you so insecure that you have to have a noise that reminds you that you're alive? What is it?
I think in the old days before cell phones and all of that, and not everybody wore a watch. It was kind of a nice signal. So you knew, hey, it's time to go, time to get lunch. Oh, it's the end of the day.
No. I think that might have been the case. I think it's more related to making sure the horn works in case there's a fire. But right now...
Yeah, but then why would you do it twice a day?
Just to make sure it works twice a day. You think it's related to making sure people knew what time?
I think this is another area we're going to have to research.
Man, all this freaking research every week. It's tough on me, man.
But, then they complained about the Castle Hill foghorn at the lighthouse and complained because it went off every time it has a moisture sensor, and whenever it sensed that it was foggy, it would go off.
Yeah.
They complain so much that now you have to take your radio and key in something on a certain channel to get it to go off. And then the people who, built houses right next to the bridge complained about the foghorn on the bridge.
People complained about at the beach the other day. I think I said this before, but this happened again. The person came down to the beach and declared that this is a terrible beach because of the seaweed. There's seaweed on the beach. And it's a freaking ocean. And, they paid $7,000 for the week to stay in Getunkwit, and they can't understand why there's seaweed on the beach. Give me a break. Please. I don't think that's right.
There was also a complaint this summer about the seaweed at Hands Beach and the smell, because some of the seaweed got caught in a little area and, it was rotting on the beach.
Yeah, good. That makes for great mulch. Bring it home. Bring it home, put it on your garden. Not right away. let it mulch first. All right, trumpets and waves. You do remember last week that we had a story that I suggested was going to be a part of a serial of stories, of 3 stories.
Yeah.
There is a second story that I've written.
I remember, let's see, it was about Stuart, not to be confused with my husband, Stuart, a different Stuart.
Yeah, this Stuart's different. He has different qualities, right?
And it's just, a different guy. And let's see, he had landed on the island. Maybe it was the meeting of his future wife that caused him to stay, something like that, or maybe it was a job. And I do remember that the boat that he stepped off of later was lost at sea with all hands. Mm-hmm. And anyway, we left Stuart in last week's episode at the line shop where he was being abused by the owner, Enzo. And an acquaintance of his, Maisie, came to his rescue and helped pay for the very expensive line that he was picking up.
And you're suggesting that Maisie has some other qualities that are specifically attractive to...
I was a little concerned with the way we left it regarding his attraction to Maisie when he was still married to Shimon.
Maisie works in the industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fisher person who has a fishing boat, right?
Yes.
Right. So
yes, and there was something where he had loaned her an anchor, and so she felt indebted to him.
Correct. And do you remember what kind of hair she had?
No.
It was curly hair.
Okay.
Somewhat like yours. It's not you, though. I wasn't thinking of you. I was writing any of this stuff. So you're not the person. I have to say that. Done.
Now you're worrying me because the other person is named Stuart.
Yeah. But
okay.
It's no worry, because then none of it came to mind as I was writing this. Okay, so...
is the curly hair significant?
It's just, it leads him, he's attracted to that, and he's attracted to her. But we're going to learn more about, in this next episode, we're going to learn more about him and Shimon, his wife. So Shimon is his wife. So anyway, that just gets you up to speed. And this is entitled Ties That Bind 2. Very creative name. Because Ties That Bind was the first
installment.
All right. Let's get started. Ties That Bind 2. A visit to the dump always prompts 2 things for Stuart. The release of ties to possessions that are broken and beyond repair. Useful once, but now lacking strength, as in the case of the rope, not to be trusted. Dropping the things that Stuart no longer wanted at the dump always resulted in bringing home other people's discarded items. He never comes home with more than he brings, but his wife Shimon always seems to know he's been to the dump, and she's standing in the driveway as he arrives, her blue dress pretty, but having seen some wear, her hair tied back. She stands cross-armed as the pickup truck tires crackle as they roll over freshly discarded clamshells, something Stuart has been doing with his shellfish since they bought their home 20 years ago to create the driveway. Nope. Turn around with that crap and go straight back to the north dump. You aren't bringing that into this yard, not now, not never. Shimon scolds, her words acidic to Stuart, her disapproval depressing. He brought this load home just kind of despite the fact that he knew what her reaction might be, would be. It's good stuff. They're just chucking it all out. I can fix most of it. Look, there's a weed whacker almost brand new. I can get good money for that. As soon as I clean out the carburetor and change the fuel. What are you doing with that baby stroller? Shimon asks. You never know, Shimon, Stewart says, hesitating as he speaks, his eyebrows raised as he looks at his wife. I'm 43 years old, Stu. It's not going to happen. And if it did, do you think I'd put my precious baby in a beat-up, old, frayed stroller? You've got to be out of your mind. That's a return item. Fix the weed whacker. Sell it. I think that's a good idea. We're broke again. I just did the books. Spent all my cash on new boat lines. Everything I had was frayed, Stewart says, his head down, searching the ground, wishing Shimon hadn't greeted him in the driveway, wishing he was at the Katunkwit Cafe watching reruns of Bonanza and drinking an Narragansett beer. How much? Shimon asks. Just pocket cash. How much? It's all money, Stu. Mine too, remember? 60 bucks or something like that. Did you get a receipt? Shimon asked. Yeah, I got a receipt. I got a receipt. I got a receipt. Stewart pulls a crumpled receipt from his front pants pocket. Give me the receipt. We're going to owe taxes someday, and I want to be ready. Shimon reminds Stewart. Stewart hands her the receipt and feels the same shame about the taxes not paid he'd felt before at the line shop. His head hangs. $86.50, not 60. What are you doing walking around with that kind of cash? Shimon says in an almost scolding manner. I actually only had $76. Someone loaned me $10, Stewart said, and then wished he hadn't. Who the hell would loan you money, even $10? You've hit up everybody in town. Someone that owes me, so. Stewart says he's mumbling the last part of a habit he had when he really wasn't too sure what he was talking about. This time, he doesn't want her to know who ponied up $10 for him. Who owes you anything? Maisie Templeton, if you have to know, Stewart mumbles. Maisie? The young girl? The sweatshirt, rubber boots? Right. Her? Yeah. Sort of right. You mean Dick Benedict's stepdaughter? She's a fisherwoman, right? Right? Who does she owe? What does she owe us? She borrowed an anchor from me. I mean, us, you and me, from the front yard, during the hurricane. Saved her boat, Wow. I do remember reading about her after the hurricane in the Katunkwit Press. She has a lot of curls, as I recall. The paper made her out to be a hero. I think she's a damn fool, Shimon says while pointing at something incoherently and disconnected and says, It's about time you clean those gutters. There are maple trees growing in the ends. She finishes as she points back and forth along the highest point of the house where the roof is 10 pitch and hard to stand on. Never mind remove maple trees and debris from. I'll get the ladder, Stewart says almost too quickly and a bit too eagerly, and he's glad Shimon has changed the topic, but she may know it. Do you need me? She asks. To foot the ladder, it's pretty high. You can call 911 if I fall, Stewart says while laughing but half serious. Maybe I can climb that tree with a piece of aluminum pole and maybe shove that stuff out of there from the tree limb, Stewart says, half believing what he's proposing. Well, maybe Maisie Templeton will come and over and scurry up the ladder for you while you foot your own goddamn ladder. After all, she owes you. Shimon attacks with jealous words. Stewart looks at her with a twisted face that she always knows proves her point. Shimon can always tell when Stewart has another woman in his thoughts, even if this woman is just in his thoughts and not acted upon. He always loses focus, forgets his keys all over the town, comes home from the dump with extra junk, gets lost for hours. Shimon has always been a shaman when it came to understanding him. Stewart guessed her mother's native indigenous side of the family from the Narragansett tribe were spiritual leaders or something. They'd given her superpowers when it comes to Stewart's behaviors. I'll take care of it myself, Stewart says while pointing at the green leaves sprouting from the gutter. Don't even think of it. Put her out of your mind. I'll take care of her, Shimon says in an understated tone, maybe making her statement even more sinister. What the hell does that mean? Stewart responds. It means I'll foot the ladder, and you'll kill those young maple trees in the corners of the gutters. That's what it means. I'll get the ladder, Stewart says, and walks to the backyard into his shed where he makes his wire cages and oyster gear during the off-season. He hoists the heavy 38-foot ladder from the side of the shed and lumbers to the front yard. Shimon's standing in the street talking to the neighbor as Stewart lifts the ladder in place, nearly smashing the second-floor bank of windows in quickening breeze as the ladder suddenly seems to have a mind of its own. Stewart settles the ladder against the side of the house and waits for Shimon. She continues speaking to the neighbor, ignoring Stewart. Stewart starts up the ladder as the breeze quickens. The ladder shifts and settles in the soft soil of the front garden. As he climbs, he wonders about the window frames, as his body weight seems to make the frames sag as he nears the top. How come you didn't wait for me? Shimon says, while hustling over to the ladder, awkwardly leaving the neighbor in the street alone. Goodbye, I'll talk to you later on during this weekend, Rachel. Maybe we can get a drink together, maybe a backyard fire or something with James. Shimon calls out to the retreating neighbor over her shoulder as she reaches for the ladder, placing both sandaled feet up against the base of the ladder. This is a good Achilles stretch. Don't look, but it's great. She yells at Stewart kind of randomly. She often random. Stewart notices this time. He loved it when they were first dating. Kind of a zany, random quality about Shimon, but it had gotten old, almost a random predictability, which bored him at times. Great, Shimon. Stewart starts cleaning the base of the gutter in the middle of the section, removing rotten leaves and pine needles and tossing them beneath him into the garden. What the fuck are you doing? Shimon yells as she backs away from the ladder and wipes her face. Sorry, I'm sorry. The wind kind of caught it. It's wet up here. It's a shitty mess, Stewart says as he lifts one of the small maples from the gutter and drops it gently on the sidewalk. No, Stewart, you're not planting that. I know what you're thinking. You don't have to save every goddamn thing that grows, for Christ's sake, Shimon says as she returns at the base of the ladder. It's who you are, but you can't save everything, little creature, Stewart. You just can't save every creature. Maybe you ought to try saving yourself. And me, for that matter, before you have anything else to nurture around here. I'm almost done. I have to reach out a little bit to this side, Stewart explains while he's reaching out far out to the side, his balance point well off the center of the ladder towards the huge western arborvitae, which had grown to 40 feet and much too close to the house and the gutter. A gust shifts the ladder slightly, and Stewart loses his balance, grabbing for the gutter as it rips from the fascia board, and he simultaneously jumps into the arborvitae. The 38-foot ladder, fully extended, slides across the front of the house, scraping the front door and demolishing the mailbox, ripping it from the wall of the front door alcove. Stuart bounces amongst the flexible branches and settles into the middle of the tree. When he settles, he checks himself to see if his arms and legs still working and reaches for the nearest large branch. Rachel runs to the house. "Are you okay? I heard the crash." Rachel asks Shimon, who for some reason is lying on the front lawn while Stuart's crawling among the branches of the western arborvitae, 38 feet from the ground. "I'm fine. I'm frightened, though," she responds. "Are you okay?" She yells up to Stuart, who can barely see amongst the coniferous branches. I think I'm good. I think I'm actually okay," Stuart responds. "The mailbox isn't okay." "The mailbox is toast," Rachel announces loudly while running to beneath the canopy of trees. "Let me help you down," Rachel says, reaching up toward Stuart prematurely, who's scurrying down the middle of the tree. "No, I'll take care of him. Don't worry about him," Shimon says as she lifts herself from the lawn and moves to the tree quickly, almost shifting Rachel from beneath this last branch and reaching up to Stuart to help, just in time. "You scared me, you son of a bitch," Shimon says while Rachel backs away. "I scared myself," Stuart says, trembling from the neck down. "Don't fucking do that shit anymore, you stupid son of a bitch. You scared me." Stuart reaches out to Shimon and hugs her, his ample arms reaching around her shaking body. "It's okay. I'm okay. Settle down. It's all right," Stuart says as Rachel backs away down the sloped driveway and across the street. "Goodbye. I hope the rest of the day improves," Rachel screams across the street as she retreats to her house. Stuart releases Shimon, and she grabs back at him and hauls him closer. He hugs her back while massaging her neck and shoulders as she likes, kissing the top of her head even though she doesn't like it. She always finds it to be too servile, he recalls her saying. Stuart isn't even sure what servile means in that context, but he stops kissing her head, just relaxes, and they stare at the house. "Do you see that green mold up there?" she asks. "Yeah," Stuart responds. "You'll have to power wash that soon, or I'll have Milner's crew over here, and that'll cost us $400. Stuart releases himself from her while mumbling, "Yeah, sure," and then entering the house while Shimon stays outside looking at the house from the front lawn. He finds the change in the jar in the closet of her bedroom, lifts 3 rolls of quarters, and sneaks out the backyard through the neighbor's lot using the sneaky back way, and meanders down Katunkwit, Maine, on his way to the Katunkwit Cafe. He figures that if he gets there soon, he'll catch the last half of the Andy Griffith Show. He can't recall if the Red Sox are playing an afternoon game. Maybe. The house and the yard and the oysters and even Shimon can be part of another day. Not this one. Stuart wanted to be with his thoughts, to find and develop his own fantasies, alone at the Katunkwit Cafe, where a Narragansett beer is still $3, and he has a pocket full of rolled quarters.
So we get a real glimpse at the relationship between Shimon and Stuart.
What is that relationship?
Not good. Stuart's tired of Shimon, tired of her nagging him, looking for something different, escaping to beer and the television.
Fantasy. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't really heard of his fantasies. Maybe he's like, that's implied, but we haven't heard his perspective on what he's fantasizing about.
Maybe He's fantasizing about a good growth year of oysters. Who knows, right? Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, they briefly connected when they thought, it was the end.
Mm.
But that didn't last very long, did it?
It was a nice moment. So we'll have to find out next time.
Yeah, I want to hear how this is going to wrap up.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not going to wrap right up. Who knows?
No, it may be more than 3 episodes.
Maybe. I think we should hear some music. I think I'd like to get a loop of that for sleeping at night. Yeah, how about the sleeping lately? It's been nice, hasn't it?
Oh, with the cool temperatures, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's been beautiful. I've really appreciated that. So all these words that we use, right? We're using a lot of words. And we're talking to people and they're listening and they're trying to imagine what we're saying, right? Mm-hmm. You're actually looking at some words right now because you have a job and you have to look at words on the machine. So as we go through our lives, I think I look at words as sort of like piling up, in our lives. So this word it's a title, heat. I don't know why it's entitled heat. And it was written a very long time ago by me. So I would like to express this one. I don't know how much connection it has to what we just talked about. But it's just a poem. It's a poem called Heat. Words pile and they plow. They lurch like trick and trial. They lurch, lie, trick, and trial. Let me start again, please. Heat. Words pile and they plow. Lurch, lie, trick, and trial. Cradle the user. Coveted, worn, leather, saddling verbs. Crazy, comical consonants. Asinine, insane assonance. Collect in the neglected stone wall of words. Biting the bloody lip. Measuring the torrid tongue and caustic core. She flings raisins, mistakenly casting her dried heart from pen to space. Smolder, speak, reliant upon historical record conjecture, automated like the ancients chanting repetitious mourning, calling to prayer among a cloud of incense. Resonate and lift me. Celebrate as an orphan returns to nothing. Use me as cheap ceramic pot. Swollen sponge, liquid filled, speak. Take me on a ride. So language can take us places, right? And it can find its way into the stone wall of our lives, which is at the essence of who we are, right? This defines us. Sometimes a wall can be defining a property, for instance. And I just feel like it's a monument to this. This poem is sort of a monument of sorts to words, right?
Yeah, it's I like it, and I just read the first 2 lines where you said something about words matter, and it made me think of something completely different.
I got rid of the word matter. You know what? That's cliche now, words matter. Everybody's saying that. I first heard that when I was in high school from a woman that I was dating. I guess she was a young woman, right? And I'd said something stupid, and she said words matter. And I think that was like the first time it was ever said. Well, at least I thought that was the case. Subsequently, I've heard it many, many times. But she was right. Words have power. So.
Yeah, I actually have a story about that. Not with me, but.
Oh, don't ever bring them and read them. That would be terrible. Please bring your stories. I've heard so much about these stories that you've written, and one of them you expressed during our bullshit session. We did bullshit. Remember the bullshit session?
Yeah.
So that's the poem, Heat. And it's a very old poem, so I'm a little bit proud of something that was old and actually kind of liked. I hope you liked it too. Do you have anything else to say about the poem?
No, but it's one of those things that I'm going to think about.
Good.
You know, like when you, yeah.
Poetry sort of needs some extra thought.
Yeah, and it just kind of sits in your head and you make connections.
I usually, if I'm going to read a poem here, I usually read a poem that's more prose-like, so it's telling a story. Or in this case, there's a lot of imagery, and there's a lot of use of disparate images. But and they're in juxtaposition to one another. So anyway, I'm just testing the audience. If you didn't like that, turn it off. Okay, we're going to go with...
Or send us an email.
Or send us an email, right, at Katunquit Chronicles.
Have we had any emails recently?
Oh, we had a very nice one from same person, Dave. Did we read the second one?
I think we did read the second one.
Yeah, the second one. It was nice. Again, I think we have a fan. So that's good.
That's good.
Shout out to Dave,
one
the fan.
is better than no fans.
No, we have a significant number of fans. The fan number is growing, and we're getting some endorsements from big organization, state organization. So very excited about that. They're going to help us with a lot of different stuff.
That's cool.
So I think we're going to wrap up shortly. I think we're going to say goodbye. Ashlyn, Stewart, or was it Ricky? I don't know. Whoever it was, called, and he said, don't forget to buy the milk.
The milk? Is there a storm coming?
Get some bread, too.
Milk
you never
and bread.
know. You can always freeze it. Oh. See you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.